Hello, it's been a long time. On this video, I would teach how to cover calabash cake. Calabash cake is a Nigerian traditional cake. We usually add it to most of the traditional cakes we make in Nigeria. So calabash is just two round pans baked cakes stacked together and then crumb coated, of course, and then you cover, and that is just it. It is very easy to cover, and it gives the beauty that every traditional Nigerian traditional cake deserves. So like I did here, I baked the cake, I put the two of them together, and then of course crumb coated so that the fondant can stay. This kind of cake, I've never seen where it's done in buttercream, but I think it can be done in buttercream. I think so. I've never seen it though. But whatever you are determined to do, if you are determined to do it, you will do it. But mostly in Nigeria, we use fondant in covering it. So it's something that's very simple and very easy that most Nigerian bakers know how to do. So if you want to try it as well in your traditional marriage cakes, you can do it. So just come to this video, learn how to do it, and then of course replicate it on your cakes. So like I said, you can either use the calabash pan. It has a pan, two pans, bake it together and just join them together, or you use you bake a 6 inches cake, two of them, and then carve it into a round cake. But that will take a lot of cake, and it will take a lot of wasting your cake. So the calabash pan is better. But in case you don't have a calabash pan, it's something you can still do. Bake 6 inches cake together and then carve it into a round cake. And you can also use grater to carve it. After carving it with your serrated knife, of course, you use grater to have the shape, just to give you that shape. So like I did, just roll your fondant. Ensure that your fondant is not too thin or too thick. So roll it and cover the cake like I did here. Lift it up, ensure that every area is covered by the fondant, so that you have a very neat job. In this instance, you can even use either side as your top, but I decided to use this as my top. So after covering like this, just use a smoother, smoothing everything to ensure that it is smooth on the body, then before you go into the next process. Calabash cakes are very easy and they make traditional marriage cake beautiful. Just in case you want to see how I covered the traditional marriage cake and how I made my props like the bead, the kola nuts, the garden eggs or egg nuts, the plate, fondant edible plates, I have everything on my page. So just go through the page and you would see that video that you want. And of course I will be dropping the how I cover the cake, as well as in the traditional marriage cake, covering square cakes especially, because I noticed that some bakers find it difficult to cover square cakes. So I will be dropping the video. Just most times I'll have these videos in my gallery for months. Editing them is usually a challenge, but I promise I will do it as soon as possible. Thank you for always staying glued to this page. I appreciate your comments, your shares, and your subscription. Thank you for subscribing, and all that. So after you cover the cake, just take a knife or a spoon and just did this thing that I'm doing. Don't worry, this is the place where the hood will go into. So when you've created a round mark there, just use a spoon and bring out the cake from that particular hole that you created. That is the place where the hood of the calabash will be entering. I usually do it like this because I don't want it falling off. But some bakers, I notice they don't do it like this, so they just put it on top and use maybe edible glue to glue it together. That is beautiful. That is very well. Just that the reason why the demerit of that, the disadvantage of that is that it doesn't, you have a seam around, you just have a seam, so most time you now have to use a bead to cover the seam so that it will not be seen. But this one, when you create a hole like this and put the hood inside this hole, the seam will not be evident at all. You can really tell where the seam is. So this was something I devised, and it has been working for me for quite a number of years. But if you prefer using the other one where you just put the hood on top and use edible glue to glue it together, that's also fine. But this is beautiful as well. So when you've rolled your hood like this, just use your index finger and create a hole in it, just like I did, and then roll it in a way that the extra parts will enter into that hole you made. So it shouldn't be too big or too small, so just ensure that it enters the hole. So you can decide to make it straight or to bend it when you've inserted it, so that is up to you. So I realized it was too long, so I had to cut it. And then of course, before you insert the hood, you have to put a skewer. This skewer will hold both the cake and the hood together so that the hood will not bend unnecessarily or even fall off. Right, so you can use a skewer or you use a dowel rod, so whichever you have works perfectly. So I just decided to bend it a little to the desired the shape I want. So you can also decide to leave it straight or you bend it. It depends on the kind of calabash. We have different types of calabash, depends on the kind of calabash you want. But here I think I liked it here, but while I was painting it, you would notice that it became straight. That was because I just saw the need to straighten it. So this is totally up to you whether to make it straight, to make the hood straight, or to leave it bent. So this was it. I was already getting ready to start painting. For the painting, I used edible art gold and edible spirit. I use edible art because it's very bright. I love the bright edible art gold. It gives this shiny and beautiful look. I prefer it to the other ones. And then these ones, it doesn't really stain like that. When you've bent it and you give it time to dry, you can handle it. It will not smear your hand, it will not stain your hand. But the other golds around, they tend to stain your beads or stain the cake itself. You now have to start cleaning and all that. So this works perfectly for me. But if you cannot afford this because it's expensive, kind of expensive, you can afford it, you can use the usual luster dust that they have around in cake shops. So this was it, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Please, before you go, drop a comment for me, hit the subscribe button if you've not subscribed, and share, comment, please. Thank you so much. See you in my next video. Bye.